Good morning and happy Friday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Change. This is live and recorded. For anybody that might be new here, what we typically do is go over crypto news in the space. I update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. Let's use here. Bitcoin halving is in less than 12 hours actually at this point. Let's see. Mr. Leo Lustig, good to see you, buddy. We have All Set in the house. Nick K, DJ Mines, my man, appreciate you. Let's see, Nerd Beast, Vinny, what's up, man? Good to see you. Retro Mike, Crypto Mikkel, Tim I Am Crypto, Cape Cod Crypto, good to see you. Shay Mining, we have Martin. Let's see, Patrick Murphy, drive safe, buddy. He said he's driving to work. Drive safe, man. Fully electric, my man. Let's see, I already said Leo Lustig, I think. Anybody else I may have missed? Creepto, Brian Hollywood, Black Cat, Dumpster Fire, all you guys, Midwest Mining, you guys are awesome. All right, let's get into this. We have a lot to go over today, a lot of stuff to watch. All right, Bitcoin 65,351 bucks. Look at this. Woke up this morning, didn't it? Everybody's like, oh shit, we're gonna be losing half the supply.
Perfect.
That's awesome. Look at this. Bitcoin halving 10 hours away. The CoinGecko one still says like 20 hours. We have 77 blocks remaining. We're gonna see. This time may adjust. This might adjust a little bit, but 10 hours from now we might be going live again. We'll see. Let's continue. Ethereum 3,114 bucks, looking pretty good actually. Ethereum's on track for the ETF soon, so we're gonna see what happens there. I actually just dropped a video of a awesome it wasn't an interview, it was kind of like a conference or something that was going on, and this guy like kind of explained Ethereum to a T, and it was amazing to see. So if you guys didn't see it, go check it out. We have Solana 144 bucks, looks pretty good. Let's see, Caspa's down today. Look at that, 11.6. I actually bought 250 bucks of Caspa last night, DCAing into it. You guys know I'm trying to do that every single week. Let's see, LTC is at $81. We have ICP at 13 bucks. XRP is at 50 cents. Not sure what's going on with that one. I don't know if that's ever going to wake up, to be honest. Dogecoin 15 cents, looking pretty good. Dumb money will come into that at some point. Whiff, oh god, Whiff is jumping up again, 20% almost on the day. Is that Dog Whiff hat? Is that the same one? That probably is. Let's go over to Crypto Bubbles and check. It is. There it is, 19.7%. Wow, that's crazy. It blows my mind. This thing is almost a $3 billion market cap still. Crazy. Hex, look at this, biggest earner on the day, 46.1%. Who in the world pushed this coin and why? Does anybody know why is that pumping like that? That's crazy. Up to a penny, little over a penny, but it's up 46.1%. That's a lot. Again, Dog with Hat 19.7. We have Rune 15%, which is Thor Chain, up on the day, $5.28. We got Jupiter up 10.8% to $1.05. We have ENA, which is Athena, up to $1.02. That is 14.8% up on the day. We have Say. I need to look into Say. This is one of them coins that like I hear a lot about it and I just haven't had a second to sit down and like look at it. Up 11.7% today, 55 cents. Is anybody into Say? Please let me know. Thumbnail looks sick. Thank you very much, Not James. Appreciate it. I've been like trying to do new shit on my thumbnails. Excuse my language. I don't know why I said that. Stuff. I meant to say stuff. Beam 9%. On the day, we have 2 cents over here, almost 3 cents. What is this? What is Sheel? Shelly? Shelly? How do you say that? It's in 100th. It's finally broke top 100 apparently. It's up 4% on the day. I have no idea what this is. Never seen this logo in my life. This is 1616 as of right now. Weird. Never seen that one. Celestia up 12.3%, $10.87. Nothing else really jumping out at me. Fetch AI is up 8.5%, $2.15. Not too bad. All right, Flashbang. See what we're looking like. 66 over here on Fear and Greed Index. Pretty good. Actually, pretty good. This is what we needed, guys. We had a 57 yesterday, which is like really like neutral. It's neutral. I don't know why it still says greed, but it's neutral. Right now, obviously, people buying, people talking about the halving. This is a collective overall consensus of the market. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense. There's a lot of news about the halving and all that stuff. So I guess we'll see where we go from here, but I don't think this needle is anywhere near topped out. That's just my opinion. All right, let's see the trending coins over on CoinGecko. We have Gala, Nizza Global, and Brett. Brett token is actually down 5% today. Up 20% on Nizza and 7.3% on Gala. Interesting. All right, top 10 coins by coin market cap over on CoinGecko. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, USDC, Lido Staked Ether, XRP, Toncoin, and Dogecoin is in 10th place. Man, dude, look at this Ton coin. What is going on with Ton? I have to look into this too. Is it just Telegram? Is that the only reason this coin is pumping? Is there like a reason behind this thing? Does anybody know? Mike R says Ton. Yeah, dude, what the hell is going on here? $25 billion market cap. Hey, shit, if this thing holds up miners, awesome. Like, I'm happy. Guys, mine it. Well, you can't mine Ton. You can mine Gram, right? That's like the second best thing. I don't know. It's like a fork of Ton or something. Anyways, if you can make money on it, do it. ADA in 11th place, 46 cents. I almost bought some last night at 44 cents and I didn't. I bought Caspa instead. I should have bought some of this, to be honest. I should have, because again, mentioned it the last 3 weeks in a row. 2017 bull run into 2018, 2021 bull run into 2022, right? Obviously 2021 was a little bit better for it, but coming up to the 2024 bull run, we're gonna see probably an easy 6x on this coin. In my opinion, it's hit $3 at some point, so we're gonna see. I'm DCAing into that one as well. I just chose to get more Caspi yesterday instead of Cardano. I'm gonna get more Cardano today, actually. Maybe we'll see. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Bitcoin Cash 16. It's in 16th place. It's down to 481 bucks, but this thing was up over $700 last week. Isn't that crazy? Let's see. Let's go to. No, I guess it wasn't last. Well, yeah, it was in the middle of last week, a little over 7 days ago. Look at this. April 7th, April 8th. No, it was about 10 days ago then. About 10 or 11 days ago. We were up to $700. That's crazy. This thing's taking a real dump. So I don't know if it's a good time to buy this if you guys are into Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash is like, it's down 87.3% over 6 years ago though. That's the problem here. It's over 6 years ago for me. 3,785 bucks. Let's see. For the max. Yeah, like this is the problem with this one for me. It peaked in 2017 and then in 2021 much lower. So I have not a great outlook for this one. That's just my opinion. That's solely my opinion. Like you can see it kind of here, you know what I mean? Like that's not confident. That's not a confident chart. Like I don't need to do any lines on that thing, you know what I mean? But hey, listen, if you can make some money off it, why the hell not? Dumb money will probably pump this coin just because the name Bitcoin is in it. Kind of the same thing like Ethereum Classic and Ethereum, right? Ethereum being the number 2 coin, Ethereum Classic being down here at 27th, only 26 bucks. When the ETF comes out, people aren't going to understand the difference. People that are getting into Coinbase, just buying shit, like that's how I started. I know for a fact it was Ethereum Classic was at $4 and Ethereum itself was at like 350 or 400 maybe. I forget, but I remember buying more of these. Like I was like, oh shit, I can get 10 of these instead of like, you know, a piece of that one. So I'll just get 10 of these ones. Why not? Like, so I just kept buying Ethereum Classic and it worked out. Like the max chart, 161 bucks, wherever it went to, way up here in the 2021 bull run. I think it'll be fine. I think it's going to carry us through the, well, carry some of the miners right through the bull run, which is going to be cool. We'll see. Happy Friday, Mr. Max Voltage. Thanks for being here, buddy. Appreciate you, man. All right, let's check out the mining stuff, mining segment of things. You guys know I like to timestamp this stuff. We have the Bitmain KS5 Pro 21 terahash unit making $104 a day. We have the AL Box 360 gigahash unit, 180 watts. Oh, they dropped the price. They dropped it $1,000. That was 14 before, wasn't it? It's making over $103 a day. Actually, I'm gonna be getting a remote access to this unit to my wallet at some point. I think it's going to be the beginning of next month, to be honest. So Gold Shell's going to hook me up to get that on there. But yeah, I don't know. Well, I'll bring you guys whatever information I can by checking out the pool and seeing what the hell's going on there. But I haven't really reached out to anybody to try to get this thing. I don't think it's worth the money. I can't push it like that to you guys. It's kind of terrible. I can't sell salt to a slug, you know what I mean? All right, we got Antminer KS5 20 terahash unit making $99 a day. We got the KS5L 12 terahash unit making 56 bucks a day. Again, these are Caspa miners, right? Most of them except for the Lithium AL box. It's at 10 cents kilowatt hour as well. We got the BMKS Max making, this is the 11 terahash unit making $47.99 a day. The Windminer K9 10.3 terahash unit making $47.16. We got the Ice River KS3 8 terahash unit making 35 bucks a day. Look at that, the X16P flipped the KS3M in profitability, $24 $2.09. That's a 5.8 gigahash unit on the X16P mining ETH-W and ZIL. We have a KS3M 6 terahash unit, $23.93 a day. And just mentioning the word ZIL, RIP to our boy Overboard Tech. If you guys are interested, I have a link in the description. Please feel free to go there and donate there versus donating on the stream at all. If you guys feel the need to donate, go donate to his family. Link is in there. Yeah, I don't know, he hated ZIL. He wasn't a fan of ZIL, so that just kind of like hit me real quick. All right, let's see. We have the the K7 rather, 63.5 terahash unit, CKB, $13.31 a day. We have the Antminer L7 9050. You guys know I got this thing down at Terra Hosting, mining at 10 cents kilowatt hour instead of my 30 cents. Still making $12 a day, even with everything pulled back. This is merge mining Litecoin and Doge. Yeah, L9 is actually a thing. L9 is actually a thing, and it's coming out at some point, so we're gonna see what that looks like. But the L7 3-year-old unit's been freaking killing it, absolutely killing it. S19K, I also have one of these down at Terra Hosting, only $6 a day, and this is gonna be cut in half. Bruh. Boo. I wonder what's gonna happen here. I wonder if Digibyte is gonna take over again, because obviously Bitcoin right now is most profitable. Let's see. Yeah, Digibyte's probably going to be on top of the charts for a while after this. Yep. And probably Bitcoin Cash. So these two are probably going to hold us up. By the way, if you guys have Bitcoin miners, they're not just Bitcoin miners, they're SHA-256 miners, so you can mine other coins, whatever is on the SHA-256 algorithm, right? So Digibyte is going to be probably the next thing that everybody switches to, because if it holds up in price, then you're foolish not to, I guess, right? Let's see, the Ice River, where's the KS2? KS2 2 terahash, you make it $7.84 a day. The KS1 is only making $3.92. And drum roll, KS0 Pro 200 gigahash unit making 83 cents a day. Damn it. CCXT $3 per day. What is that? $3 per day. 15k, $3 per day. What are you saying? Sorry, I'm not following Fully Electric. I'm sorry, I was talking too much. I appreciate you though. All right, let's move on to GPUs. See what the most profitable GPU is today, or coin rather, is Gram and Nexa. Look at that on the 4090. We have Ironfish and Gram on the 4080 Super, and pretty much everything below that. Ironfish and Gram, or Ironfish and or Gram in some form or fashion. That's it. 3090 Conflux and Radiant. Actually, ooh, Radiant, did that go through a halving yesterday? I think it did. Oh, damn it. Retro Mike. He said Digibyte has a monthly reward reduction similar to Caspa. Does it really? I didn't know that. Retro Mike dropping facts. Love it. 3090, Nexa, and Xano. Look at that. All right, I think that's it for GPUs. Ironfish and Gram and all that BS takes over. Let's go to the events calendar. Oh, Radiant's halving is in 2 hours. Perfect. Look at that. Who's ready for this? 50,000 to 25,000 block reward. I don't have any Radiant. I have none. Zero. Never mind it once. But everybody that did, hopefully you make some money. Bitcoin 13 hours away. And there's, all right, every damn clock you see for Bitcoin is going to be different. Every one of them. It's nuts. All right, this one says 13 hours. The one up above on my screen says 10 hours. And then we have CoinGecko says 20 hours. I know you guys couldn't see that, but nice hash is probably like 4 days from now. So, oh my god, we have Octaspace halving in 5 days, Kevacoin in 22 days, Pyron in 32 days, and Ethereum Classic in 41 days. That one's a fifth inning, as you guys know. All right, let's check out, see if there's any new coins real quick. It's a meme. SHA-256 still on top of the charts 5 days ago, guys. If you're getting it off the site, and go check these sites out, please do it at your own risk. I don't know anything about these coins, and some of these sites can be malicious. It's website right here and all that shit. Yeah, just be careful. All right, let's move on to the news segment of things. You guys have any questions, at me in the chat. We're going to start with the stocks first, and Mr. Funstrats Tom Lee, we have stocks can continue to outperform even if the rates stay high. Let's do it.
incredible just to see how quickly the market narrative has changed from expecting a rate cut in June now to some economists saying perhaps not at all this year. You've been in the seat that Powell is in, different country, India, but still I'm curious how you think he navigates this complicated scenario that we're in, which is hotter economy with inflation remaining much higher than expected, and at the same time, rates also staying higher, the impact that could have on consumers.
Yes, I mean, clearly what's happened is we've had three strong readings of inflation. One you can dismiss, certainly the January one, but the next two basically suggest inflation is not coming down. In fact, it's going up. And if you look at the measure that the Fed has looked at most closely, which is the super core measure of inflation, taking out housing, it's gone up at an 8.2% rate over the last 3 months. So this is something to worry about. Is inflation coming down steadily as it seemed at the end of last year, or is it having a new set of legs and moving up? So my sense is, they're going to do what they did, which is watch and wait. But, you heard, the New York Fed president talking for the first time about potentially rate hikes. I think that's still some ways away, serious talk about that. But clearly, the kind of rate cuts that were expected are off the table. Certainly in the next meeting, they have no more news on inflation or the labor markets. And it's likely they will continue pausing, but how long they will pause is now very much in question.
Tom.
Real quick, Dan R., dude. 1,000 Hadoukens for you. You're amazing. I'm sorry that the alert doesn't work, but you just sent me an entire Solana. I love you. Long time. Happy Bitcoin halving day, sir.
Professor Rajan mentioned
awesome.
John Williams.
I got to get those figured out. I got to email the guy today and see if he can do it. Something's wrong with like Coinbase and the one-up coin thing. It won't communicate with my account because it's older. I don't know. It's weird.
Fed president who did just mentioned rate hikes, but he just said that's not his base case. But even the fact that he mentioned it, you saw the 2-year move to around 4.99%, which is a high for this year. You still have this notion that stocks can continue to outperform if rates stay high. How long do you think that theory will last?
I'm going to have to send Dan R. one of these things to hold you know what, because it's so big. Appreciate you, buddy.
Well, I think it's going to be valid as long as one of several things happens. One is that as long as the economy remains resilient and robust, and so far earnings have actually been coming in quite good. I mean, we're only sort of at the start of earnings season, but already Q1 looks good. And I think the second is that inflation, I think inflation really has a bifurcation taking place, because even as the professor said, it's supercore. The reason supercore is annualizing at 8% is auto insurance. If you took auto insurance out of supercore, the long-term average is around 2.7, and it's actually annualizing at around 2.7% right now. So the biggest driver of inflation are the two stubborn components of auto insurance and shelter. So I don't know if Williams really wants to be raising interest rates or hiking just because auto insurance rates are high. And I think the third thing to keep in mind is that we don't really need the Fed to make, 3 cuts. I think the one risk to markets would be that the inflation is accelerating to the point where the Fed has to hike and therefore really weaken the economy. I think that's still very much a tail scenario, but that's the one, of course, that would unsettle markets the most.
Professor Rajan, how critical is China's recovery to global economic performance?
We'll get to the Bitcoin halving stuff in a minute, guys. We only got a minute left of this.
Well, it certainly is very important, right? China has been the engine of global growth for a long time, pre-pandemic. But I think it's also important for, the reflationary forces we're seeing. I mean, if you look at commodity prices, they were largely dead in the water for the last year because China wasn't performing up to expectations. As Chinese growth news is getting better, you're seeing some commodities perk up. Certainly, you're seeing copper pick up some in recent weeks. So my sense is that the deflationary effects of China, which have been substantial, especially on the goods side, may abate a little bit if Chinese growth picks up. And of course, it will also add to global demand, which is important.
All right, shout out to Fun Strats, Tom Lee, and that other guy. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. All right, Bitcoin is still very young in terms of adoption, says Skybridge Capital's Anthony Scaramucci. Let's get into it, guys. That like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
Bitcoin slump when Iran launched its attack on Israel last week, and raising some questions about the idea that investors may see crypto as a safe haven during times of global tension. Join us right now on this, the halving, and so much more. Anthony Scaramucci, Skybridge Capital founder and managing partner. Please weigh in. We saw you weighing in on Twitter over the weekend when I think a lot of folks were trying to figure out what was going on. We've seen Bitcoin fall since that weekend and effectively stay where it is despite where equity markets are. It's trying to understand sort of these price movements.
Real quick, someone just asked why did my clocks, the halving clock up at the top of the screen that you guys can see, that's going to change due to the blocks. So like, it goes off block times. So the longer it takes for these blocks to get, completed, it's going to, that's why it's so hard to nail the exact time that the halving actually happens. That's why you look at 7 different sites and get 7 different times. You know what I mean?
I wish I could understand the price moves myself. I think where I'm coming from is a little bit of longer term as opposed to just the week-to-week or day-to-day price movements. I think the point I'm trying to make is that Bitcoin is on an adoption curve. If you go back to Web 1, Bitcoin is sort of in the 1999 point in the spectrum. And so just imagine where we went from Web 1 to where we are today. And so my point is you won't see this be a inflation hedge or a store of value, as other pundits are saying, until you get over 1 billion users. And so right now, it's going to be way more volatile than people like, and people look at it as a risk-on or risk-off trade until we get to that adoption curve.
Sorry, I got to pause this for a second. DJ Mines, is that real? I mean, that's not real. Someone just hit a Bitcoin block on easy mining, 6 Bitcoin for $6. What? That mofo better be buying around for everybody. That's crazy. A duke into that guy. That's dope. Perfect.
That's my point.
Good for him,
Given
man.
the adoption curve, what do you see right now as the
crazy.
upside and number?
6 Bitcoin. Damn. That's insane. 60. How much money is that? How much money is a block? Let's see. Hold on. Let's do the math quick because that's nuts. So like, what are we at? 65,000, right? Times 6. That dude just hit like 400K almost. What the fuck?
And what do you see as the downside number? Call it 12 months.
Damn.
Well, I mean, look, you could get shocks like wars, and you could get, God forbid, a terrorist calamity or something like that could take Bitcoin down 10 or 15%. But I think you have a heavy bid on Bitcoin because of the demand from the ETFs and from the eventual drivers of things like the wirehouses that will enter the space, as well as the 401k market. So I don't think you have 50% downside, but you could have 10 or 15% downside just because it's still a risk-on, risk-off asset. But long-term, with the halving coming this week, Andrew, right, I think this thing trades to $170,000, possibly to $200,000, and that's consistent.
Listen, when people give that number, right, I've been hearing it a lot, actually, and this is like the red flaggy part for me. When it comes to the Bitcoin halving, right, and the price predictions, you guys got to take everything with a grain of salt. Last bull run, people were calling for over 100K. And now people are saying, 150 to 250 or so. It's like, I think if we break 100K, we should all be happy. And kind of assess your situation there. If you guys have like a certain thing you want to do, like pay off your house or like whatever your goal is, get a number and like kind of pin that number and sell it at that number. Don't wait. Like, it was going to go up more. Who cares? You already made money. Like, get over it. Take the money and run, because guess what? It's going to come back down and you're going to be able to buy back in. So just please be prepared and don't just hold it up and down like the roller coaster. I'm telling you right now, people literally like unalive themselves over this stuff, and it's unfortunate, but like, you guys, you gotta just keep your head straight and just wait. Okay, just wait.
And with where it's been over the 15
or
years
sell
of Bitcoin.
at that point.
It's so sensitive to the starting point, though. Like what you want to say, how this behaves, or what does it typically do under different environments. I just looked at a chart yesterday. Since June 30th of last year, Bitcoin has been beat for beat with NVIDIA stock. Okay, I mean, nobody's saying it's exactly the same thing, but it sort of moves along this, hey, we're investing in this big picture future. This seems to be a way to play it. The other piece of it is, if the analogy is 1999 and Web 1.0, what was the central asset that you would have bought in 1999? Bandwidth? That's done nothing but gone down in value. Like, what's the thing you're investing in?
If you bought, okay, let's use Amazon as an example. Okay,
right.
And I think this is the point that Andrew is trying to make: is this risk on or risk off? Well, in 1999, Amazon was an emerging stock on an emerging technology, and it was quite volatile. And you lost 20 to 50% 8 times in Amazon.
You at one point lost 80%.
Yeah, that one time in March of 2020, it went down 80%. But if you held Amazon over that period of time, $10,000 is worth a little over $14 million today. And and Amazon is now trading consistently with the volatility of the overall S&P 500, and it certainly wasn't
also
doing that
producing cash flow
25 years ago.
I use a lot of Amazon. I don't use a lot of Bitcoin. Is that a problem at some point? And what do you expect to happen when we go through a dot-com bust type moment for the broader market? Does the feeling about Bitcoin shift?
I think if we go through a dot-com bust in the broader market in the next year or two, I think you'll have a price shock in Bitcoin consistent with a dot-com bust. However, if you're willing to hold that asset, which we are, over a rolling 4-year period of time, no one has ever lost money in Bitcoin. But if you're willing to hold the asset for, let's say, 5 years, John, I think you do very, very well in the asset. It doesn't have cash flow. Gold doesn't have cash flow. But it does have cash flow in a weird way, because if you treat it like cash, cash can offer you a yield in the bank. And even though we had these problems with things like...
Real quick, Mr. Rudputz, thank you for the €5.99 Euro super chat. You're awesome, dude. He said Dan and Yeti are stranded in Dubai. Dude, they're in Dubai? That's dope. He said there are no planes flying. They are going to miss the Halving. Oh, man, that's brutal. Well, shout out to you for the super chat. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate it. And hopefully they get a flight soon.
BlockFi during the crash, you could go to places like Galaxy, which is in my opinion, a tremendously undervalued asset, probably the most undervalued asset in the crypto space, and you could get yield in a borrowing agreement there. So you do have cash flow on Bitcoin if you think about it that way. And so long term, I predict people will do very well. And I think the point I was trying to make to Andrew through Twitter and here on the show is that, yeah, sure, it's 14 years old, but it's still very young in terms of the adoption.
So something's going on in Dubai. I didn't know what was going on over there. I just always wanted to visit it, so that's why I said it was awesome. But that sucks if someone said it flooded. Did it really, Nismo Miner? That's crazy.
In terms of adoption vis-a-vis the ETF, you look out your 4-year sort of time horizon. What percentage of Bitcoin effectively is owned by BlackRock on behalf of individuals versus individuals owning it themselves?
Well, it's a good question. So let's say there's 15 or 20 billion now, just using rough numbers, and the asset's got a $1.4 trillion in market capitalization. And let's say it went up 5x from that. And let's say the market capitalization didn't move. It's still less than 10% of the overall ownership of Bitcoin. So this whole notion that the ETFs are going to overly centralize Bitcoin, I don't buy. I think what the ETFs are, though, is they're a great conduit for people that are used to buying them.
Does the ETF create more price discovery? I mean, in some ways, you think it should create more price discovery, which in some
it obviously has, though, Andrew. Look, I mean, I think we were 40.
Well, but in the initial stages, the discovery will always be about adoption, so it should go up. The question is, long term, does it create a sort of different sense of discovery? And you also have to think that the people who own Bitcoin today were always true believers, right? It was sort of a special cohort of people who sort of thought about Bitcoin in an unusual way. I don't know in the future if you have a large volume of Americans owning it through ETFs, hopefully they won't all be true believers in truth. You'd want them to all think different things about it. Well, and I don't know what that means.
Well, listen, I mean, you guys have a lot of skepticism on the desk. I think the skepticism is well-founded. I started out as a skeptic. I think what got me past being a skeptic is the notion that this is immutable. It's decentralized in a way that makes it very powerful. The network itself is scaling. And if you think about the way we treat money in our society over the last 5,000 years, Bitcoin checks all of the boxes. The only box it doesn't check is central bank manipulation, which I think it makes it way more powerful. And so at $1.4 trillion, could this trade to half the market capitalization of gold, where gold is $16 trillion today? We believe it can. We actually think it's going to go through the market capitalization of gold. And if you're making the point that the American owners in an ETF are not going to be enough to get it there. I disagree, because over time, the acceptance regulatorily is going to allow people to put it in the portfolio. A 1% position in these global portfolios takes it there.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. It's not wrong at all. Shout out to Anthony Scaramucci and CNBC Television for that. All right. What is this? Kraken's performo on most symbolic Bitcoin halving. Is that a different performo? I don't even know how to say that. What does that mean? Anyways, let's check out what he's got to say. This guy from Kraken over here on Bloomberg Technology. Let's do it.
I have been invited to not one, but two Bitcoin halving parties tonight. Whether I go to either of them.
By the way, if you guys don't know, the Bitcoin halving is very uneventful. It's very uneventful. You just it's like watching New Year's, the ball drop like this, but it's a timer that just goes out. Nothing fancy happens.
Remains to be seen, but it got me thinking that for many, this is something that is interesting to be celebrated. You know it's coming in the calendar. For others, they focus on the supply and mechanics of what it does to the market.
Crypto Wolf, dude, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. You didn't say anything, but I appreciate you. Third super chat on a live stream. Dude, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Keeping the stream alive.
Where do you focus your attentions?
So for me, I think of the takeaways for the Bitcoin halving and falling into two different spectrums. Firstly, it underpins why we believe Bitcoin is the soundest form of money. There's a whole host of reasons why on the demand side, things like global liquidity, 24/7, 365 market access, permissionless, censorship resistant, like all these nice qualities for why Bitcoin serves as a good form of money. But on the supply side, how reliably can you plan around a currency? And Bitcoin, because of the halving, that there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin in existence. And so on the second part of the takeaway here is that this Bitcoin halving in particular, we celebrate it every roughly 4 years, but this one is the most symbolic, in my opinion, in Bitcoin's history and even looking forward, because at a time when you have people who are looking at their conventional currencies, inflation, interest rates, and the economic environment that they live in, they see this alternative form of currency, Bitcoin, and it's something that has this really crisp story, this idea that as of tomorrow when the halving takes place, 94% of all Bitcoins that will ever exist will have been mined. And less than 1%, we'll see less than 1% inflation in the circulating supply of Bitcoin going forward. So that's a really powerful story, I think, for people, yes, and why the halving is so important.
Thomas, there will be a big section of our audience watching thinking, what has this got to do with me? Is there
Mr. Fully Electric, thank you for gifting the 5 memberships. You're insane. Let's see who got them. Solar Miner, Dakar Tech. We got Team JFK, Claude, and Lookout New. Congrats, guys. Thank you very much, Fully Electric. You're awesome. Appreciate you. Make sure you guys link your YouTube with Discord. Get access to the VIP chat.
Chance that they wake up and global financial markets, the world, has been changed by this halving?
No, the halving in of itself isn't going to be a cataclysmic event. We're not talking about a rapture here. But what it is doing is it's reinforcing the narrative of Bitcoin as sound money. And in our opinion, the adoption of Bitcoin and of crypto takes time. This is something that is a very innovative technology. It's very different from how people use money today. And so this is something that's going to take place over 5, 10 years, 20 years, et cetera. And you're going to think of it as almost like a change in culture and a change in understanding of how people transact with one another. And so when we think about this halving in particular, nothing super special, but again, like an important milestone, particularly in this time and age, and we love to celebrate it.
Tomas, I want to get a glimpse of what you're seeing in this unique position over at Kraken at the moment, because yes, the reason many have said that this halving is unprecedented is because where crypto has been priced at before, where Bitcoin has been at all-time highs, that hasn't happened before in the other times. But there has been money taken off the table of late. Why? Has there been new money just trying to resettle when we have this risk occurrence, when we've had geopolitical tensions? Why did we suddenly see such a fall in price?
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of volatility when it comes to Bitcoin in general. I wouldn't say that we've reached any kind of peaks. So historically, if we look at prior all-time highs, you start to see these mass successions of all-time highs. So like 15, 20 all-time highs within a single month on a day-to-day basis. And that's when you see volatility peak to 100% or so. With Bitcoin, we've only seen a handful of all-time highs in the last month. It is a little bit ahead of schedule versus the other 3 halving events we've seen, but nothing crazy or out of the ordinary yet. what I like to think about when it comes to the price action is it's a momentous occasion. You know, people come in, they see the price level, they're like, I want to participate, and you get a little bit of that momentum play. But we still have a lot of new entrants coming into the space. The Bitcoin ETF, for example, $12 billion of new net flow coming into the cryptocurrency sector. A whole lot of people are coming in, signing up for accounts and buying Bitcoin for the first time. So this is just something you have to kind of space out over the long term, and you're going to have these ups and downs along the way.
More broadly, how have you been thinking about that new inflow into Bitcoin coming into other parts of the crypto ecosystem? What's been interesting is perhaps in other altcoins, we've just seen a churn, a movement within it, rather than perhaps money coming into Bitcoin and then going, oh, I'm going to play in the worlds of Solana now. What do you think about that movement coming from Bitcoin, ETH into the other altcoins?
Yeah, these rotations ebb and flow, and it depends on the trend at the time. And so when we see in 2020, for example, we had that momentous occasion called DeFi Summer. So everyone was going and playing around with Ethereum tokens. And the reason was because you had the maturation of those applications that had been invested in back in 2017, 2018. So they were launching, you started to see the application, and the network effects built up from there. And then that led into rotation into Bitcoin, et cetera. Here, we have the halving event, the US Bitcoin ETF, as the catalyst for people getting interested, and so Bitcoin comes first. As far as other alternative currencies, whether they're tokens or other layer ones like Solana, Ethereum, a lot of that's driven by whatever application exists that people are starting to really adopt early on. And one of the interesting things, in my opinion, is that the last cycle back in 21, you had tens of billions of dollars come into the space to develop new projects and whatnot. We're talking at this point about 3 years of maturation. And so that investment cycle, we kind of have these dark horses. We don't know exactly what application is going to come out, but we're really excited about it. And some stuff that's proliferating right now would be things around like GameFi in the crypto space. So we'll have to see from Bitcoin where it goes.
All right, shout out to the guy over at Kraken there, Mr. Fully Electric Dude. Thank you for the $20 super chat. He said 6,000 XP 240 volt fund. It's a game changer. By the way, the real fund starts a few months after the halving, not so much today. If you guys don't know, this clock is going to change with the blocks remaining. Obviously, you know, it just, yeah, that's how it is. You're going to go to 7 different sites. You're going to see 7 different times, but either way, we'll go live later on again tonight when it gets closer to the actual halving point. All right, so let's see what they got to say over here. Bitcoin halving could be pretty significant for long-term gains. BitGo analysis. Let's see what, or analyst, let's see what they got to say over here on Yahoo Finance. Let's do it.
The long-awaited, or at least long-discussed, Bitcoin halving is expected to happen over the weekend, and it'll slash the amount of new Bitcoin available on a daily basis. It's bad news for crypto miners. What does it mean for investors? We're looking at how to navigate the big picture with the Yahoo Finance Playbook. We're joined by Matt Ballenswag, head of Go Network at BitGo, and Alex Felix, Coin Fund co-founder and CEO. Guys, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it. So I guess, first of all, we have to ask what's going to happen to the price, right? Because in past halvings, we have seen the price rise after it, but the market seems sort of bigger now, in part because of the ETF. So I don't know if the dynamics are different. Alex, I'll start with you on what you think.
Real quick, 56. Thanks for being a member for 36 months, dude. You're awesome. Appreciate you.
Great. Thanks for having me on, Julie. Everyone should own Bitcoin. It is the best performing asset of all time with 153% annualized return from 2011 to 2024. Runners up like NASDAQ, US growth, and even the S&P have not been able to keep pace with the returns we've seen. And despite 4 drawdowns of 75% plus since 2011, it's still alpha for portfolios.
I always die when DJ screams. Again, Fully Electric, thank you so much.
In terms of where we're headed here, if you look at past cycle highs, we tend to see explosive growth as we move through the previous all-time high. Last high, suggested around a 250% move. And so that puts us in the 240K range.
Do we have 1,400 people watching the stream right now? Guys, that like button, appreciate you all. You're amazing.
From here. So I think, 150 to 200K could be achievable in the next year or two, but hard to put an exact time frame on it.
Matt, thinking more broadly about
150 to 200K, guys. Like I said, please keep your number in mind. Pin a number, sell at that number, and don't care if it goes up a little bit more because it'll come back down.
The crypto market right now, coming into a news event like the halving. I'm just curious what you make of where Bitcoin sits within that overall trade? Like, is it, we have an altcoin summer again? Where are we at with, Ether? We haven't talked a lot about Ether over the last, couple of months with this Bitcoin run to record highs. So we'll get through the halving this weekend, but where is where are the vibes at, I guess we'll say, in terms of the crypto trade today?
For sure, and thanks so much for having me on. I think from a trading perspective,
real quick, Kurt, have a good day, buddy. He said, I'll finish watching in the morning. It's been a long day. Glad I caught a bit of the live. Much respect. Dude, you're awesome. Appreciate you. Thanks for the $5 super chat. You didn't have to do that.
You have to think about this kind of in two different unique lenses, one short-term and one long-term. It's a lot easier to kind of see this forward, using a long-term lens. But if you're a trader and you're in the space and you have to kind of think about this short-term, I think, the way to kind of position yourself to think about this is, number one, like usually in the short-term, this is really a non-event. If you look at the way Bitcoin's performed in the month following each halvings back to 2012, in 2012, it only performed, positive 9% in the month following the halving. 2016, it was down 10%. In 2020, it was plus 6%. So, this could turn out to be a nothing burger kind of in the short term here. It's only 450 Bitcoin
He's not wrong.
delta that is no longer going to be on the order book on the supply side. That's the kind of difference between what miners can sell, tomorrow versus today. And, that alone on a daily basis is not going to move the price. That being said, in the long term, the 450 Bitcoin per day adds up. That's over 12 billion of net less supply. And you combine that with the 12 billion of net new demand we've seen from institutions coming into the new ETFs. And I think long term, you're going to start to see a pretty significant move in BTC and the market at large. If you look at Bitcoin's performance the year following the halving, it was plus 8,000% in 2012, plus 285% in 2016, and plus 550% in 2020. So I think.
Thank you, Dan R, for the $5 super chat. Smash the like button, guys. Appreciate you.
Long term here, we could be set up for a pretty good move.
Okay, guys. So if we accept the thesis that it's going to go up over the longer term, the question then becomes.
Yeah, it's not going to be immediate, guys. So like when we go through this halving, it's nothing like fantastic right away, right? It takes a little bit to like kind of kick into gear. So just, don't expect like shit to pop as soon as it happens.
How do you take advantage of that? Do you buy Bitcoin underlying if you're able to? Do you buy it through these new ETFs? Do you avoid the miners like the plague because they're seen as maybe being disadvantaged by this? Matt, I'll take you first on this.
For sure. I think, look, if you're trying to trade miner stocks, it's just a more complicated version of spot BTC, right? They're basically derivatives of Bitcoin, but there's also idiosyncratic risks to each of these companies uniquely. So unless you are an analyst that's willing to kind of go down the rabbit hole of looking and analyzing at each one of these miner stocks, I would stick to the basics here. I think, one way to trade this, you have to have skin in the game. You have to be a long-term bull on Bitcoin. You have to have conviction and own the spot asset. So it starts by just being a long BTC spot. If you're trying to hedge some of the short-term volatility and chop that might come, after this might be a sell the news kind of immediate event, what you can do then is basically look to sell some BTC calls, maybe not too far out of the money. So something like an 80K June BTC call to generate some return. That could be 5% return, kind of depending on the strike and expiry, which is about 24% annualized to June. And then you could use some of that premium to actually go long calls on alts like ETH or other tail alts like Solana and even further down the rabbit hole to take advantage of a big move up potentially later on after the halving is in the rear view. So
that was a good point. I think Solana is actually a really good buy. Real quick, Sustainable Crypto, dude, thank you so much for the 5 gifted members. Alvidus, Burrito Money, we have Athanas, if that's how you say that. Sorry if I butchered that. Yonel, and who else? D-Miners, congrats, everybody that got a membership.
That's one trade idea, but there are many out there.
Yeah, and Alex, I'm curious how you also think about this, what your preference is when it comes to vehicles, setups, et cetera, as we get, both through this event, but again, in this kind of, the fourth bull market for crypto here, how you're looking at things.
I agree with Matt. You want to be long the spot asset, and you can trade around that now with many different tools. We have CME options and soon to have ETF options, and short interest can be built up there. But we generally have a saying in crypto, not your keys, not your coins. People have lost a lot of spot Bitcoin over the years, so you always have to be careful. But really the halving here it's the least interesting thing going on in crypto right now. It's a great opportunity for us to have the conversation about Bitcoin, to say thank you to Satoshi for creating the first blockchain and solving the double spend problem. But what's on the horizon is this is the first all-time high where we've had regulatory clarity and institutionalization around crypto's main asset and its first blockchain, which is Bitcoin. But that's just one use case, non-sovereign collateral, digital money, however you want to sort of frame the use case around Bitcoin. And there's so much innovation going on atop blockchain rails that this is really the first asset that people own, and they're likely to look for higher growth, higher potential in other subsectors of applications and protocols that are being built to serve other use cases. For example,
real quick, Crypto KJ, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. He said 12 radiant blocks left until the halving. Yes, that's happening in like an hour.
Stable coins, which are digital cash, are now producing 30% more fees than Bitcoin transactions. So we've seen a use case of just moving digital fiat around on crypto rails. We have a lot of innovation in gaming, in financial markets, in AI, in many other subsectors that are just starting to adopt blockchain rails. And I think that as we start to see the FANGs emerge, everything outside of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Coinbase is less than 6 years old, and Bitcoin is kind of leading the way here. We're likely to see a lot of other great opportunities to allocate more and in different pockets of the crypto universe.
All right.
His head's in like the most convenient spot. Mr. Crypto Frank, thank you for the 20 gifted membership, dude. You're insane. You're awesome. Red Jasper got one. Homebrew Crypto. We have Lynn T. Let's see who else. Mining of the North. Chris Nichols. Mark. We have, let's see, Jerry. MK. David G. Steven Mint, Big Black, I Know Nothing. I love that name. It's hysterical. Bored Nerd. Let's see. Chris Fox, Brad, Chris Hunt. We have Jake. Let's see who else. Jacquin, if that's how you say that. Sorry if I butchered that. John Germain, DRV, Jake St. Peter, and I think that was it. I think I got everybody. If I didn't, I apologize. But you're all fantastic. Thank you so much. And Mr. Crypto Frank, you're amazing. All right. CNBC Crypto World. Bitcoin jumps to 63,000, but JP Morgan says the crypto could decline post-halving. Let's see what they got to say over here. Guys, that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
Today, Bitcoin bounces back after briefly sliding below $60,000. JP Morgan says the upcoming halving could lead to losses for Bitcoin. And Tadaz Kulik of Sunnyside Digital explains how the wholesaler of mining hardware is preparing for the upcoming halving.
Oh my God, Crypto Frank, you did it twice? You did not give 20 memberships twice. Well, if you did, dude, you're friggin' insane. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Tanea Michiel. Crypto prices in the green today, one day after Bitcoin sank to the $59,000 level. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin bounced back above $63,000, climbing more than 5% in the past 24 hours. Ether climbed back above $3,000, and Uniswap jumped more than 7% to nearly $8.
You know what? I wish I bought into Uniswap, damn it. That's crazy. Let's see real quick. Bitcoin is at 65,000 as of right now, if anybody's wondering. Let's continue.
Okay, let's talk about the top stories. JP Morgan says Bitcoin could be headed lower after the halving event later this week. In a report out this morning, the bank's global market strategy team said,
first off, screw JP Morgan. It's ridiculous. But anyways, yeah, we could have a pullback at some point.
Said that unlike past halving events, which have kickstarted previous bull markets, this halving is, quote, already priced in. This time, JPM strategists said they expect Bitcoin to slide, citing overbought conditions, prices still well above the bank's comparison to gold, and subdued venture capital funding. New research put out this morning from Deutsche Bank also says not to expect a post-halving Bitcoin rally, adding that miners are expected to shift locations after the event. The report said miners could look for cheaper sources of energy after mining rewards get cut in half, and they could find that in Latin America, Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. Right now, the U.S. accounts for 40% of all mining activity. Next, a jury is deciding whether a crypto trader defrauded Mango Markets out of millions of dollars.
Mango Markets?
Eisenberg was arrested back in December 2022 and charged with fraud and commodities manipulation over trades that netted him over $110 million.
What the hell is this? Some friggin' Apple knockoff? What's going on? What is this? Has anybody heard of this?
Prosecutors
I feel like that's like a ripoff of Apple. Look at that.
Argue that Eisenberg manipulated the price of the Mango token, while his defense says he used his own money to make legal trades.
Never heard of it.
At the same time, though, Eisenberg reportedly searched terms around the statute of limitations for market manipulation and the rules of extradition from Israel, which he reportedly fled to after his identity was revealed. As of noon Eastern, the jury hadn't come back with a verdict. If convicted, Eisenberg faces up to 20 years in prison.
I'm Googling.
All right, let's go back to the halving for our main story. Crypto World's Talia Kaplan.
Hold on, let's look real quick. Mango Market. I've never heard of this, so please don't go to this, anybody. Safer, smarter, faster. It looks to be a trading site. Weird. I've never heard of this ever. They didn't even know it was a token existed that was called Mango.
And spoke with Tadas Kulik, CEO of Sunnyside Digital, about the upcoming halving and how the distributor of mining hardware and data center equipment is preparing.
The Bitcoin halving is fast approaching. Sunnyside Digital is a mining infrastructure provider. So I'm curious to get your take on how the key technical event will impact miners. Now, I recently put together a report on the implications on miners, and many say they expect consolidation following the halving. I know that you believe there will be a surge in M&A activity within the mining sector this year and next. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think as the industry matures and we face the economic headwinds of the halving, I think scale is going to matter, efficiency is going to matter, and candidly, as we're becoming a much more understood sector, free cash flow and profitability is going to matter. It's not going to be a battle for growth at all costs as we've seen to date. I think traditional financial metrics will certainly be much more important for the entire sector. And through that, you'll see the traditional things that industries do as they mature, as they typically consolidate, where you go from 50 different companies that are in the space down to, call it 10 to 20 much larger companies. And I think that's important for investors to know, because that will certainly drive net income, free cash flow, and EBITDA, which is likely the three most important metrics for mature companies.
I'm getting motion sickness watching this guy's camera.
For an investor to be looking at.
The CEOs of publicly traded mining companies we spoke with believe we will see consolidation somewhere between 15 and 30% post-halving. Do you think that's a realistic range?
I think that's a very realistic range. I mean, we've seen recent consolidation with companies like Hut 8 and USBTC, Cathedra and the infrastructure company that recently did an RTO. There's certainly many more rumors in the market about additional consolidation. I mean, both Marathon, CleanSpark, two of the largest publicly traded miners, have been very vocal about their appetite for acquisition, hunting for new assets. So I think 15 to 30% is very reasonable and conservative for folks to be looking at the space to anticipate. On the secondary side of the market, where you have solutions and infrastructure provider companies like Sunnyside Digital, I think that will also be a theme over the next, call it 3 to 4 quarters post-halving. And the reason being is, if you're a large publicly traded miner, you don't want to be dealing with a mom and pop shop of 5 to 10 people on a company to be able to provide you services and solutions for the scale that you're actually operating now. Companies like Core, Marathon, CleanSpark, they're approaching management of almost a gigawatt of power, and to actually manage that and provide services for that, you need to be at scale. And so Sunnyside Digital and other folks in the services sector supporting large-scale data center miners will certainly need to consolidate to be able to provide the cost of capital to really be helpful to the large-scale miners, but also just the breadth of services that they need to be efficient in generating hash rate for the market.
Why do you think the upcoming halving might differ from past halvings, and why do you believe it could spark increased institutional interest in Bitcoin?
DJ, I'll play that after this. Thank you for the clip. That's hysterical.
Well, the upcoming halving, I think, is unique in that we're actually seeing an incredible amount of development on Bitcoin, the network itself, from a protocol perspective. What that means is, typically people have been thinking of Ethereum, Solana, and all sorts of other, call it base one layer protocols as the place where you can develop smart contract. What we're now seeing is the development community has shown that Bitcoin as a protocol itself can be the substrate or layer one for smart contract technology, for ordinals, which are a type of NFT, runes, which will actually create a totally new opportunity and use case for the Bitcoin network. So what that means fundamentally is driving real transaction fees to the Bitcoin network, which ultimately will be supportive of Bitcoin miners, but more importantly, be much more interesting for the developer community to build on top of. So that
I'm trying to lessen the wobble on the screen if it's bothering anybody. If you guys want me to full screen it again, I will.
That is certainly something that has never happened before. The innovations have been happening so fast, and we've actually seen days where transaction fees have surpassed the block reward, which is what everybody's focused on with the halving. So that's a key component that people really need to understand, is that as transaction fees surpass the block reward, which is what is impacted by the halving, the Bitcoin network itself and mining as a business becomes much more economically sustainable into the future.
Now, you touched on this, but in a nutshell, how will the upcoming halving affect your business, given you are a mining infrastructure provider, and how have you been preparing?
Right, that's a great question. We've actually been working with most of the publicly traded miners to help them with what we call the fleet refresh program. As some of the equipment that they've been using for the past 2 to 3 years becomes not necessarily obsolete, but not as efficient as the new generation coming out, we're actually working with them to be able to take the computer servers off rack, plug in the new equipment, clean the old equipment, diagnose it, make sure it's actually in great operational condition, and then sell it into the secondary market, typically into jurisdictions where cost of power is much lower than in North America, but where they can actually use these machines into the foreseeable future. Whereas the
Lazarus, I can't even. This dude just talks Bitcoin right through an earthquake.
Public miners like to have the newest and most efficient hardware being plugged in. So that's been a huge amount of our business, and we're really fortunate to be working with some of the big public companies to help them with that. And we should have some news in the near term with some of the public players around this type of program that we've launched.
That one got me.
And hopefully you'll come back on Crypto World and you'll let us know that news when the time comes.
Love to.
Thank you. But before founding Sunnyside Digital, you served in several senior positions within the digital mining sector. That includes a role as Senior Vice President of Growth at Core Scientific, which of course filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy back in December 2022.
Yeah.
What was your reaction to that bankruptcy, and what did you learn from your time in these roles that ultimately helped you shape your current business? And what did you learn from these bankruptcies, especially in the lead up to the halving?
Great questions. I'll try to take them on one at a time. The key learning I learned from the Core Chapter 11 filing is really about risk management and treasury management. Make sure that you're not betting the house if you're over leveraged, and making sure you have the ability to pay down your debt when you need to. And I think the sector itself has had that very difficult lesson learned now, because Core Scientific wasn't the only one. You saw BlockFi, Celsius, Compute North, numerous large-scale data center operators were over-leveraged, made promises they couldn't keep, and unfortunately went through very structured solvency processes. And what we've seen with Core Scientific is that they've actually emerged as a stronger, better company. And I'm very long on Core Scientific, to be honest. Not just because I was a former employee, but Adam Sullivan's done a great job in turning that ship around, and it's certainly an undervalued play in the market today, in my opinion. What we've actually applied from a Sunnyside Digital perspective is that at the end of the day, even if there's a distressed asset, they need a trusted, reliable partner to help them with asset disposition or asset procurement at the end of the day when they're in a better position. So we were actually very fortunate to be able to work on several of these solvency cases to help the committees that were formed sell assets into the market to be able to get the cash back to then pay down the debt. So we chop wood every day is the way I look at it. We're not looking to make the biggest dollars and the biggest deals. We're looking to be consistent, reliable partner for the large data center operators, so that if they ever have a phone call, they know they can call me, my team, and get the answer that they need and get the job done.
Shout out to CNBC Crypto World for the motion sickness. Appreciate it. All right, let's move on. Look at this. Bitcoin halving today explained. My price prediction after. I kind of want to see what that's about. Let's go to this one.
Today is the day.
I haven't seen this. Look at this vlog from Austin on Altcoin Daily. What in the hell? Bitcoin halving today explained. My price prediction after. Let's see what he's got to say over here, guys. That like button. Appreciate you all.
Today is the day of the Bitcoin halving. This is one of the biggest moments in cryptocurrency. It happens.
I've never seen him do a vlog. This is kind of neat, actually. I got to put this in the description. Apologize.
Every 4 years. And this Bitcoin halving is different than any other Bitcoin halving we have ever seen in crypto history. And that's because after today, Bitcoin officially becomes scarcer than gold in terms of annual inflation rate. Now watch today's whole video because I want to talk about, is this Bitcoin halving priced in? The final conversation. What to expect after the Bitcoin halving. And my brother and I are in Dubai right now for crypto conference Token 2049. This is the biggest crypto conference in Asia, one of the biggest in the world. And the point is,
we're stuck and we can't leave.
Elites of crypto, literally the biggest names you know, show up to this event to speak. We're talking to some of them at these after parties. I want to share some stories.
So they got more rain in one day than they do in like a whole year over in Dubai. Is that true? That's crazy.
And also the Dubai flooding. We'll talk about everything. Like today's video if you appreciate me coming to you for these big events. But let's start. What is the Bitcoin halving? Well, the Bitcoin halving is when the supply faucet, the amount of Bitcoin coming into the supply, gets cut in half. And to be clear, that doesn't mean the supply of Bitcoin gets cut in half. No, that's not what happens. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin ever in existence. That's one of the fundamental selling points. And Bitcoin is scarce. For example, it's like gold. Gold is scarce too, although we don't really know how much gold there is underground. We're digging up more and more different amounts every single day, and we sure as hell don't know how much gold there is in space. But gold is scarce. That's one of the reasons it has value.
That was somebody's argument. They can guarantee that we could probably well, they said that we could probably go up to, you know, outer space to an asteroid and mine some gold off of it, but they can guarantee that you'll never be able to go up to outer space and find any Bitcoin on an asteroid. Do you know what I mean? So that's why he brought that up.
And it just has perceived scarcity. Bitcoin has mathematical scarcity. It's code. It is unchanging. It's open, transparent, it's public code, anybody can watch it. But the point is, the Bitcoin halving is when that supply faucet gets chopped in half. Right now, the annual inflation rate for Bitcoin, at least for the last 4 years, has been 1.7%. And gold's inflation rate is always about 1 to 2% per year, depending on how much they want to choose to dig up and other costs, etc. So you could make the argument that Bitcoin for the last 4 years has been equally as scarce as gold in terms of annual inflation rate. After today, everything changes. Bitcoin's inflation rate drops from 1.7% to under 1%, exactly 0.85%. We've never seen an asset, a hard money supply asset, that's ever been more scarce than gold. This is literally an event that you and I can tell our grandkids about. But why this affects you in the short term, if you hold Bitcoin, is because the reason people care about the halving is because basic economics 101, supply and demand, if the demand of any asset just stays the same, doesn't even increase, just stays the same, and supply faucet gets cut in half, price goes up. That's why every 4 years we see these blow off tops in Bitcoin. It doesn't happen that day, but about 12 to 18 months after every single Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin has these bull runs because of what the supply is doing. And also, from everything we've seen, demand isn't staying the same. Demand's only increasing, especially this year, from an institutional level through these ETFs. But I guess that's the point of the Bitcoin halving. It becomes scarcer than gold. Now that brings us to the question that we've been talking about a lot on this channel. If you subscribe to Altcoin Daily, you have some of this alpha you knew first. But my point of view, and when we say priced in, it means has the expectation of this event, have people already bought it up in anticipation? For example, back in 2021 with Dogecoin, when Elon Musk hosted SNL, some people said that was priced in. It was a case of buy the rumor, sell the news, because Dogecoin's price didn't explode after Elon Musk hosted SNL. Dogecoin rose in anticipation, people buying the rumor, and then the day it happened, they sold the news. My view on the Bitcoin halving has always been this, or actually every major event in crypto, that if you're asking me, should I expect volatility in cryptocurrency the day of a major event, then my bias is yes. My bias would be there will be a case of buy the rumor, sell the news in any capacity, as these markets are, bought and sold in real time. That was my stance for the BlackRock ETFs the day that happened. And to be clear, that doesn't change my thoughts on Bitcoin long term, the end of the year. I'm just talking about on a minute scale that day, because
I actually really like this video. I like the vlog style, like naturalness to it, I guess.
The day BlackRock launched the very first Bitcoin ETF this year, back in January, Bitcoin did dump that day, and I think that week as well. Of course, long term, what that fundamentally meant, Bitcoin's price only continued to increase because, again, they were taking away demand. BlackRock is accumulating still, and Fidelity and ARK and all these ETFs at an incredible rate. So my view on the halving is it will be a case of buy the rumor, sell the news. At the same time, I don't think the Bitcoin halving is priced in. While it may dip, today, that day, or this week or next week, what this fundamentally means for the network is that it's only becoming more scarce. And even if this Bitcoin halving is priced in, the next 5 Bitcoin halvings are not priced in. There will be a Bitcoin halving every 4 years until the year 2140, somewhere around there. So again, this is, time will tell. The point is, it's not what happens today. It's about what this means for the network over the next 100+ years.
And that's the big picture, for sure.
How about Dubai? Dubai. Oh, was there one more thing I had to say about Bitcoin? Guys, like this video if you appreciate these one-on-ones, me coming to you direct to camera.
Did I forget one thing?
Always going to come where we go over news, but
oh yeah, I forgot to tell you to like the video.
Is the Bitcoin halving priced in? What to expect? Okay, this is the last thing I want to say. My Bitcoin price prediction for this cycle, because again, these price rallies go with
everybody's price predictions with a grain of salt.
Usually 12 to 18 months afterwards. Something that we've also never seen in Bitcoin ever before is the rally into the halving. Usually we're near all-time lows into the halving, and then we see the price effect 12 to 18 months after. For the first time ever, we've seen a price run up because of these ETFs the 12 months before the halving. So is it over? Is that the buy the rumor, sell the news? My thought process has always been, after the Bitcoin halving, 12 to 18 months after, Bitcoin has at minimum 3x'd from its old all-time high based on what the halving does and based on increasing demand. For example, the all-time high for Bitcoin at that blow-off top in 2017 was 20K. The top of the next cycle was 69K, so that was a 3x. Back in the olden days, around 2009, 13, it was a whole lot more than 3x, but we are seeing diminishing returns. But we are seeing more demand from an institutional level this cycle more than any other cycle. But my thoughts have always been Bitcoin's at least minimum going to 2x, which was speculation on my part, only because if it's at least 3x, a 2x from 69K, let's just call it 60, it's at least going to hit 120. It was always my expectation.
Honestly, that's where I think too. I think it's going to get up to around 120. Once we get past 100, it's going to blow through it. But yeah, I don't know. 150 seems like a bit high, to be honest.
My conservative price target. Yes, there are things going on a macroeconomic level, geopolitical level. I mean,
like eventually, yeah, hell yeah, it's going to go past that. But this run, I think we're going to struggle getting past 150 if we get that high.
War in countries, that could change things. But again, I personally think from everything we've seen over the years, Bitcoin's value is only understood easier when we see these sovereign nations warring, when we don't know what the hell the Fed's going to do with the United States monetary policy every single meeting. Bitcoin's monetary policy is unchanged. So even with that, I guess that's all to say. My base case is still 120. I still think that we see that at the end of this year, closer to next year, or at the beginning of next year, As I get more information, I'm going to keep my head to the grindstone. I'm still trying to bring notable people out and researching. So as I update my opinion, I will update you. Dubai. Man, we were here. We got in the day before.
So apparently Dan and Yeti are stranded in Dubai right now, which is crazy.
Rainstorms in Dubai recent history, and it's nothing compared to the rest of the world, but the only reason that there is sort of an issue with that is because the drainage in Dubai isn't used to having so much rain. Now, Dubai is a beautiful city. I only have great things to say about Dubai. I love it. But it was wild. Luckily, I mean, you saw this on the news. Luckily, they were able to fix it in time, and then the city is looking great. Some of the people I've been talking to at this conference, I was pulled up on a panel. I spoke out with the CEO of Eternity Chain, as well as the CEO of Cody. I met the CEO of Do Your Own Research Dex. But the biggest one was actually Brock Pierce. Just 2 nights ago, I was at a boat party with Brock Pierce. And for those of you that don't know, he was an early investor in EOS, early investor in Ripple, one of the OGs in Bitcoin, kid star of that one movie about the president's kid. Oh, he's in Mighty Ducks as well, and The First Kid. And anyway, he's just like, he's a big Bitcoin guy. I had never met him before. Could not be the nicest guy. And what was interesting to me is this guy is he's invested in some of the most notable companies in crypto. And what seemed to excite him the most, one of many things, was meme coins. This guy is still super, super bullish on meme coins, specifically one that he didn't found or anything, but he bought called Uranus, after the planet. I'm not invested, but I guess this is not scaring them. I mean, it's maybe these dips like scare the regular people, but people that believe in this technology, he's still bullish on the fundamentally more traditional products like Ripple and all those infrastructure companies or traditional companies, but he's still going hard on meme coins. So I guess that made me just sort of rethink that, I mean, there's room in this market for everything. Meme coins and the other stuff. Guys, I'm rambling. I'm going to let you go. My brother, Aaron, we're in different hotels. I think he wanted to say something. If he does, I'll throw it over to him. But give me your...
I think that's it. All right, guys. What do you think? What do you think? Bitcoin halving? We're going to have a sell the news event or what? Let me know in the chat. I wanted to watch this. It's about 10 minutes long. You know what? We have some time. Let's watch this real quick. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF. Should you buy it? I want to see what Lark Davis has to say over here. This is a video from 2 days ago. I haven't had the chance to watch it yet, but I want to know what he's got to say about it.
So you want to buy some Bitcoin, but you don't know whether to go out and get the real coin, the real deal on chain in a hardware wallet or a spot Bitcoin ETF share, baby, from BlackRock.
Always buy Bitcoin. Self-custody, not the ETF. Unless you're like trying to allocate it into your 401k, that's different.
You're confused. You're perplexed. You're flabbergasted. I get it. Okay, I know. Take a breath. Prepare to get your questions sorted out today, because in today's video, we are going to discuss the positives and negatives of buying a Bitcoin ETF versus the real deal. And no, I'm not going to bore you with every possible hypothetical with this decision. Instead, we're only going to look at the most important real-world considerations that you as an investor may want to be considering when looking at your options between real Bitcoin or a Bitcoin ETF, which represents real Bitcoin. Let's get into it.
I feel like his curls on the top of his head get crazier by the day.
Before we dive into details, though, there's 2 high-level ideas I want you to consider. The first is that there is no right decision when deciding between a Bitcoin ETF and real Bitcoin on chain. Now, Bitcoin maximalists might tell you that Bitcoin ETF is sacrilege. You can't do that. You're a trader. But look, if you're watching this video, then odds are you're newer to Bitcoin and you might be gearing up to make your first purchase. And a Bitcoin ETF is a real viable option. However, again, following those more popular Bitcoin accounts on Twitter or something like that, it doesn't take long to find influencers who will tell you that buying a Bitcoin ETF share means that you are not only not a real Bitcoiner, but you're a traitor to the cause. You've given in to BlackRock. You're not in the cool club if you do that. I want you to ignore those messages. Those people are special. Instead, focus on the idea that the only thing that matters is that you understand the pros and cons of your decision, because there are pros and cons for both of these, and that you make the right one for you and your circumstances and investing goals. That's the only thing that matters. Second, the best way to conceptualize the decision from a high level.
Hold on, I got to add a link here. This is the, you know what? I'll have to show it on the other screen. Never mind. We got to continue.
Is with the following phrase: less responsibility equals less freedom, or the reverse, more responsibility equals more freedom.
Very true.
You'll notice this is a recurring theme as we go through the actual pros and cons of a Bitcoin ETF. So
see, most people like the less responsibility because they're lazy, and that's the problem.
What are the positives of purchasing Larry Fink's BlackRock Bitcoin ETF? Well, as I see it, there are really two huge benefits. Of course, you can buy an ARK Bitcoin ETF or Fidelity, whatever else. But anyway, ease of access and familiarity, and no burden to custody or securing your Bitcoin. So what do I say when ease of access and familiarity? Well, if you're already using a traditional online brokerage account for your stock investing, maybe like Merrill Lynch or Charles Schwab or Fidelity, then buying spot Bitcoin ETF shares through these types of platforms is going to be an absolute breeze for you, because it's the exact same process that you're going to go through as literally making any other investment on these platforms, whether a stock or an ETF or whatever. Moreover, if you want to get that exposure to Bitcoin and you want the convenience of tracking all of your investments in one place, then sticking with a Bitcoin ETF again might be the right choice for you. Alternatively, if you're accustomed to using your traditional brokerage account,
I feel like we should just end this.
but you decide that you want to buy actual on-chain Bitcoin, then at minimum, you'll need to go and set up and fund an account with one of the major cryptocurrency exchanges in your region. And that's going to require...
All right. I can't do this anymore. I don't know what you guys feel about it, but we can't do it anymore. It's yeah, we're not gonna sit there and talk about the Bitcoin ETF for the next who knows how long. We got to watch this. DJ sent me this. happy halving day, Bitcoiners. LFG. Let's see. This guy, I haven't listened to it, but I could see what he was doing. If I get whacked for this, it's all right. I'll deal with it. But let's yeah, that guy's shit faced. I forgot my kids behind me. Gotta be quiet. All right. That was hysterical. Oh my god. All right, let's recap some stuff, guys. I don't recommend buying the Bitcoin ETF unless you're trying to allocate it into your portfolio. I totally get that, but other than that, buy Bitcoin. Don't be stupid. That's hysterical. I've never heard that before, ever. Real quick, I appreciate this community. They have raised over $5,000 so far for Overbore. That is amazing by all of you. And then he tagged me. Joker Miner, that's awesome. That is awesome. I actually haven't looked in a while. Yeah, that is a 10 out of 10. Freak out over there. It's absolutely great. All right, again, Bitcoin, if anybody's just joining, just kind of recapping things. So Bitcoin halving is coming up in 11 hours, supposedly. You're going to check 7 different websites, get 7 different times. So it all has to do with the blocks remaining for Bitcoin, right? So yeah, that's that. It's just gonna is what it is. It depends how many miners are on the network, how many shut off, and yada yada. So it could get pushed into the next day. I doubt it, but I would be shocked if a big farm actually shut down so it got pushed to the next day. I doubt it. But anyways, Bitcoin $64,961. You got Ethereum at $3,100. You got Solana at $144. Solana I still think is a very good buy. Regardless of the issues they're having, there is still a good chance this is going to go up even like much more than it even is now. I think closer to $500 is probably realistic, in my opinion. That's each his own. Actually, what's the market cap on Solana right now? Let's see. Solana's market cap $64 billion. We go to 500 maybe. I don't see why not. I don't see why I wouldn't flip Tether, to be honest. Market cap wise, for sure. Yeah, I don't see why not. I really don't see why not. Solana has it's basically an ecosystem in itself, right? People build the stuff on it, just kind of like Ethereum. Same thing. It's a important ecosystem. Yeah, I think it has a good chance. Anyways, Cardano is another one. Good chance. I think easy 6x, just my opinion. guys do what you want. Max chart, 2017 bull run, 2021 bull run. 2024 is coming. End of the year, right? End of the year. Typically around December. November through like January, February is when you see like these spikes, right? Typically. That's like if you look at 2017, right? It was December into January. That's usually when things like kind of kick off, which is quite interesting, right? Fear and Greed Index, we're at 66. Just kind of recapping stuff. What's the biggest earner on the week or loser of the week? Hex is the biggest winner of the week. Looks to be like 54% up on the day. Biggest loser looks like it's CKB, the Nervos Network. That damn K7. Bruh. 2 cents. 2 cents. The coin is down in. It's in. Oh, I lied. Ordi is the biggest loser. Look at that. Oh, it's ranked 99. CKB is. Ordi is actually down 38.3% on the week. $43.75. Ranked 94th place. I think that's the biggest one. Everything else is, yeah, looking like hell. But it is what it is. Is what it is. We will. We'll get there. All right, boys. Listen. I'm gonna leave you guys with this. I always leave you with something on Friday, so let me get this going for you guys, and I will catch you guys. Actually, I'm gonna be live again later on tonight for the halving. Hopefully, I don't know, it's probably gonna be like 9-10 o'clock at night. We're gonna have to see, but it says about 11 hours from now, so whatever that time is what it is. What the hell's going on? Why didn't this work? That didn't work for a second. All right. Anyways, guys, hopefully you guys have a safe and happy Friday. Enjoy payday. We have Saturday Night Live tomorrow night. We're going to be doing a rate this crypto with that like chart, the S through whatever D chart, and a bunch of logos, and I want you guys to participate. I think it'll be pretty fun. I'll do it with the whole collective group: Max Voltage, Hawk Crypto, the Mining King, Geek of All Trades. Hopefully they can all be there. If DJ Mines wants to show, he could show up too. But anyways, guys, happy Bitcoin halving day. Let's get into this. I appreciate you all. We're gonna go raid Miss Randy Hipper right after this, so I will catch you guys in a bit. Peace out. Oh, and this is muted. Hold on. Why is it muted? Oh, damn it. I hate Brave browser sometimes. There we go. Let's start this again. Let's try it one more time. There we go.
Add crypto to my portfolio. I wanna hold on till I can't no more. Perfect.
Happy Friday, everybody. Stay safe. Don't lose your keys. Let's go raid Miss Randy Hipper. Happy payday. Peace, peace.
Eat shit, Gary.